Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we have a 2021 Chevrolet Blazer and we're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster diode wiring kit. Adding diode wiring to your Blazer is going to help you to transfer the lighting signals from your motorhome to the back of your Blazer whenever you're flat towing. Now, some other options that you have for lighting whenever you're flat towing your vehicle are going to be magnetic lights, which can kind of be a hassle to set up because you have to run a 4-pole from the back of your vehicle all the way up to the front every single time you want to flat tow. And then you have to find a place to store those whenever you're not using them. So I really don't care for those, especially with newer vehicles having aluminum panels on the vehicle. You can't stick the magnets to those, so you're going to have find a different place to be able to mount those up. Another option that you have is that you can do a bulb and socket, which involves drilling a hole in the back of your taillight, which I've never really been a fan of because water can get in there, and then that's just not good for your taillight. The diode wiring, for me, is going to be the simplest because it installs on the back side of the taillight. You tie into your factory wires. It'll simply take that signal from the 4-pole that you run through the bottom of our vehicle to our 6-pole on the front, hook up your motorhome, and it's going to transfer the lighting signals. It's the simplest. It's the only option that you really can't see, and you're not really affecting the taillight a whole lot. The diodes themselves are designed to protect the wiring on your vehicle and the wiring on your motorhome. So if there's any backfeed or anything like that, they're going to protect that. They're also going to help to distribute the light, or distribute the power. If you want the power to come from the vehicle, it'll let that pass through, but if you want the power to come from the motorhome, it'll let that pass through. Now, when it comes to picking out the right kit for your application, there's a couple of things to consider. So our vehicle, our tow bar already had the pigtail running through the tow bar, so we didn't need to pick up the kit that came with one. We have a kit that has just the 4-pole wire and the diodes, which is what we use today, but we also have a kit that has the pigtail included and the 6-pole that mounts on the front of your vehicle. So you just want to be sure that you pick up the correct kit for you, because there's a lot of tow bars out on the market that will come with the pigtail, so you just don't want to have an extra one laying around. In addition to your diode wiring, your 4 other main components for flat towing a vehicle are going to be your tow bar, your base plate, your safety chain loops, and your supplemental braking system. As far as the installation goes, this install is really not too bad. I'd say probably the hardest part about it is running your 4-pole from the front of your vehicle to the back. But hopefully with my help, you should be able to get that done with no problem. With that being said, let's go ahead and pull it in the shop and show you how we did it. To begin our installation, we need to run our 4-pole wire from the front of our vehicle to the back to the taillights. And depending on what type of braking system you're putting in, we're putting in a Demco Stay and Play Duo. We're going to need these wires, or access to them at least, up here in the engine bay. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip back our white wire all the way to here. So we'll have a white wire running from here up to here with the other 3 wires, and then we're just going to have the green, yellow, and brown going all the way back to the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you the route that I took to get there. So we started down here by our base plate. We're going to put our 6-pole here eventually, so you want to make sure you have enough slack there. We ran it up into our engine bay. This is a lot easier with the front fascia off, so if you're putting your base plate on, it makes it a lot easier to go ahead and run this wire before you put your fascia back on. We'll run this up, zip tie it to some existing wiring. I ran it up over our engine, then we came back down. We want to make sure when doing this, you stay away from anything hot or moving. So we came back down. I went into this frame section here because it'll be ultimately protected in there. Ran it out of the end of the frame there. And then from here, followed these brake lines all the way back to the back of the vehicle. Ran it up and over our frame member here again. Zip tied it off. And then back here is where you will want to split off the green wire over to the passenger side. And then you'll want to take your yellow and brown wire, and we're going to run that up into our driver's side taillight. Our brown wire is eventually going to get teed off up there and then come back down. But for now, we need to have a way to get this up into there. So we need to go up, take our taillights out, and take a look at that. Now what we want to do is you'll take a trim panel tool, and we're going to pop this cover off. We're going to do the same thing to both sides. There's really nothing different about the passenger side as there is on the driver. There we go, pop that off. Then you'll see these two 7mm head screws we'll have to remove. Then to remove the taillight, I found that it helps if you take a trim panel tool or if you have a small crowbar, just wrap a rag around it so you don't break anything or scratch anything, and just slowly pry. Eventually this is going to have to pull straight back, and then we'll have to rotate it out. So once you get it pulled straight back, you'll see these pins here. That's why we had to pull straight back. And what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and test the functions of our wiring here, figure out where we need to be, what functions do what. This one here is going to be our running lights, and this one here is our brake lights. So we need to figure out which of those wires are led to which of the wires on the back here and test them out so that we know which ones we're connecting to. Now, our running light signal is going to be our purple wire. Our stop and turn signal is going to be our blue wire. So what we need to do is we need to put our spade terminals on here. I've already cut the wires, stripped them back, just to make this process a little faster. Take a spade terminal, put it on each ends of these wires, and then that's how we're going to end up reconnecting them. Now we need to get our wires that we ran back to the back of our vehicle hooked up, which is our brown and yellow for our driver's side, and then it'll be a white and green for our passenger side. You want to take that white wire that we didn't end up using, so you should have a pretty long length of it. We've got it tied in with our brown wire because we need to get a running light signal over to the passenger side. And we've got our yellow wire here. The yellow wire is going to tie into our the blue wire with a gray stripe on our driver's side, and then the brown wire will run to the purple wire. So we can start getting our diodes connected. So if you could picture, you've got your wires you ran back here yourself, and then the factory wire. So you're going to have two ins and one out. The one out is just to tell the taillight what to do, and then these two are who is telling it what to do. So we'll take our running light signal here, connect that, and then this is the purple wire, so we'll connect that. Just make sure you don't get these mixed up. If you'd rather just do one wire at a time and leave the other one fully connected without cutting it, we've done this quite a bit, so we can usually keep it pretty straight in our head. But that's what it's going to look like when you're done. So we've got the brown wire coming in, a purple wire coming in, and then we've got the one purple wire going out. Now we're going to do that same thing for our stop and turn signal. So on our passenger side, we took our green wire, which is our right turn signal and stop signal. We combined it with the blue with a purple stripe. And then we took our white wire, which is technically our brown wire, our running light signal, and we combined that with the gray wire with a little brown stripe. And if you're wondering, on the pins here on the plug, they are the same location, so your running light signal will be first, and then your stop and turn signal will be second, if it makes it a little bit easier for you. Now the way that we ran our wiring from our driver's side taillight over to our passenger side taillight is you just want to run it back down. You see that white wire? That's our jumper wire. Ran it over. You just follow along with your factory wiring. That's the right turn signal, that green wire. Just ran it across, zip tied it a few times to that wiring harness. Use any non-moving items on your vehicle to tie off to. You can tie off to this brake line here, but then just ran it up and inside our passenger taillight. Now up at the front of our vehicle, what you want to do is you want to take that white wire that we stripped off at the beginning, and you want to just ground it to a factory stud for now. We're going to eventually put all of our grounds together. This one worked out really well. You just use a 10mm socket to remove that screw, put your ring terminal on, and then ground it to the frame. You're also going to want to mock up your 6-pole. We're going to eventually have to put our fascia back on, so we'll have to take our 6-pole back off, and then we can put it back on for good. But you want to start at the top where the lid opens. You want to start at the top. This is going to be your brown wire, and then going around this way, it'll be your white wire, yellow wire, then your green wire. We're going to use a test box in order to test out our functions of our lights back there. What you can do is, if you don't have your motorhome handy and you're doing this at your house, if you have another vehicle or a friend that has a vehicle, you can just plug it into the back of your vehicle just using the 7-pole, and then go through the functions in your car and make sure they're transferring them to the back of the vehicle. We're going to start with our tail lights, our left turn, our brake lights, and our right turn. Now that we know everything's working properly, I'm going to go back, pull our taillights back off, wrap up those diodes with electrical tape just to help keep everything more connected, or to stay connected, and then we're going to put our taillights back the way we found them. Now with everything put back together and everything's working properly, that's going to do it for the installation.